So you've got one of the rare matchup differences with Jake Renningstool that he could probably really have an impact, standout year. How possible is it for him to have something like 500 yards, 8 touchdowns, 50 yards on average? Like, what's the goal for him this year in terms of?
Yeah, that's a good question. From a standpoint of stats, we don't get into stats. That doesn't make or break your success as an individual, and it doesn't make or break the success of the team. So everything that we do in the tight end room is based off of team first and me second. So we don't, to say he's going to have that type of year from a stat deal, that's nothing that's ever talked about or really a concern of mine, and it doesn't need to be a concern of his either, and it's not. So, but he's going to have, in my opinion, he's had an unbelievable offseason. He had a great year last year. He's had a great offseason. He's taken his nutrition to another level, which he needed to. He's done that every year he's been here, which has really helped him on the field. He understands he's going into year 2 of the offense for him. So he's just, you could just see in the spring mentally, he had another, he was just in another gear mentally with the offense, which again will help him play fast. So I'm looking forward to seeing all his hard work pay off in this last year for him, and I think he's going to have a great year.
Year 2 of the offense, what did you learn from year 1?
I think I knew that question was coming. I think in anything that you do, not just football, in anything that you do, just like all y'all's jobs, y'all probably felt a whole lot more comfortable in year 2 of your job or your new position than you did in year 1. I was just thinking back on it this morning, when I was a position coach and went to become an offensive coordinator. Year 2 and year 1 felt totally different to me. And then as I went from an offensive coordinator to a head coach, I'm drowning in year 1, and in year 2 I feel like I'm floating a little bit. So I think from a standpoint of the offensive coaches, this was not really year 2 for me in this system. This was like year 16 for me in this system. But for the rest of the staff, as they went and we've gone into spring, you can just see that they feel a lot more comfortable in year 2, quote unquote, year 2 of the system for them. And then for the tweaks that Garrett brought that I was not a part of in the past, I'm more comfortable with them. And then all that trickles down to your offensive players. And I just saw this spring, we just felt like we played faster, and we don't have a slow team. So if you're playing faster and you see that, it's because mentally it's slowed down for them. And now they're not bogged down into details, because those details they've kind of figured out going into year 2. So I think you're going to see, we're going to take steps just like you would in any profession, hopefully, if you put the work in to do that, and this group has. Yep. Yeah, it's just speaking on the tight end group, it's a very talented room. I'd say from top to bottom, they all bring something different to the table, and the talent's there. Besides Brenny, it's a very inexperienced room. With the young guys, everybody's really a young guy in the room. And not only young as in what's beside their name, whether it's a freshman, redshirt, sophomore, you're talking just young from reps in games. There at the end of the year, due to injury, we played some more guys at the end that didn't play as much at the beginning of the year, and that was good for them to get that experience. But playing 30, 40 snaps a game versus playing 5 snaps a game, that's a big difference. So the rest of the room's got to take the next step in, not only gaining experience on the field, but understanding how to go and meet in the meeting room when you are expected to play 20, 30 snaps or be the next guy on the field when an injury happens. So I'm really happy with where the group, how the group came out of spring. You kind of had a Sapp and Olsen were kind of the number 2 battling at number 2 coming out of spring, and they've had a great summer. Marcus made leaps and bounds from fall to spring, and really excited about where he's at. And then obviously you got Christian coming in the building now. Haven't had any time to spend with him on the field, but really excited about having him. And then you got a guy like Banks Pope, who played probably more snaps at the end of the year than Sapp and Olsen played because of what his strength is, which he's a bigger tight end, a physical tight end, plays a lot in the box. So you were talking short yardage and goal line and stuff like that. You saw him take on some more snaps at the end of the year, and he had a great spring and kind of what his role is. So really excited about the room, but they're all different and they're all unique, and that's what I really like about the room, and that's how I recruit. I don't want the room to all look the same. I want to be able to mix and match guys in certain personnel packages, and I want to be able to mix and match you based off your strengths versus the defense. So that's why the room kind of looks the way it is, and that's how every year I go into recruiting. What do we want to put in the room this year, all right, as we move forward in the future. So really excited about the room.
Coach, how does that inexperience that you talk about impact the scheme, if at all?
You know, it really doesn't. We are who we are, and we're going to, we're going to run what we run. And if we need to mix and match the personnel, whether it's an extra wide receiver on the field or whether it's an extra, running back on the field based off experience, then that's what we'll do. And we have the opportunity to do all that within this system. But you kind of saw, again, last year, you had, 2 running backs in Shipley and Maffa, and at times we wanted to get them on the field at the same time. We had some injuries in the wide receiver room, and when Sage was here, you had Brenny and Sage that were 2 experienced dudes, so you saw more of probably them on the field at the same time. So we'll just see how, every week's a different week, how we mix and match the personnel based off of what is our situation from an injury standpoint and experience standpoint, or just maybe schematically for that week what we're trying to do. And then number 2, where's our matchup issues that we can create versus the defense? Now how do we have to personnel that up?
Whether real or perceived, one of the knocks on this offense has been a lack of explosive passing. How do you, as the passing game coordinator, put these guys in the best position to hit on some of those big plays?
Yeah. I think some of that is just, some of that last year was just, there was a lot of factors that went into that. Turnovers were obviously a big factor. And then just kind of injury bug that kind of came, and Cade being first-year quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But even with that, if you go back and you look at big play percentage, we had a higher big play percentage last year than we did the year before. So again, that's kind of, like you said, perception kind of turns into reality, but that's why we don't live in a perception world as coaches. When the season's over, we actually take, the data and we look at it and go, all right, where did we fall? Where did we get better? Where do we need to improve? Whatever. So big play did go up. Does it need to go up more? Yeah, obviously it does. But we were better than we were the year before. I think our personnel, another year of experience with our personnel is going to lead to more big plays. We got to take care of the football, which would have led to more big plays last year, which obviously would have led to more wins last year, just being honest. So everybody's got to do their part in this. It just doesn't fall on the quarterback or fall on the receivers or vice versa. So everybody's got to do their part, but I think you're going to see coming out of the spring, and that's what we were just talking on the radio about. I can't remember another spring that I've been here. I'm going on year 9. I can't remember another spring where we had more explosive plays and big plays than we had this spring. So that was a positive, and that's something that would challenge the group going into the spring, and they responded to. Just from a tight end standpoint, my biggest challenge with the tight end is